He started by pointing out some good things about the people from that part of the country. Then he made a reference to the comments of T.O.S. Benson. Ruben was not speaking as Ruben Abati. It was a reported speech. In other words, he was telling us what he heard. That's number one. Number two, there's then the perception, okay, if a man as Benson would say this, there's also the possibility that this is factually correct. But that's if what Benson said. You've said he's not a flippant person. That is correct. But what if in that instance, actually, the statement is not correct? And I asked that question knowing for a fact T.O.S. Benson's in-laws are Mbiri people.
For food as well.
That's the place of the former Minister of Education,
I mean, where do you go in this world?
Obaji, the husband Sam. We spoke about some of these things. He is their in-law. He was their in-law.
They are hell-bent.
Now, when I marry your daughter
homelessness
and I come to you for land, should you look at me as a possible source of income, or should you consider the fact that my daughter is in your custody? In fact, rather than sell land to you, I'll give one to you. The closer my daughter is, the easier it is for me to be sure she's being well taken care of. So for the record and for all of us,
I hope that the people do not
Mbiri people gave land, donated land to Chief Benson Atori Mbiri, which he used, in fact, at his own discretion to construct a post office for the people. And the structure is still there. So recontextualization, Ruben did not set out to misinform anybody by the statement he made, but he was correctly putting Chief Benson.
Which is what they are pushing for.
Now, so let us also get into that point. And then when the altercation, if you like that expression, between him and his colleague, brilliant presenter, the young lady, remember he said, in a bit of anger, which was a little too heated, that if others, apparently he has some other sources, and if others have, let them present anthropological evidence. Now, the point there is this. You can carry out a research on the behavior of Gwagwalada people. That research will require field work. The result you get will depend on whom you interviewed. And if later I read that work, I'll say, oh, Gwagwalada people have these qualities. And I make this with, I recall that 2019, yes, I was in charge of Tambuwal's campaign for president, and some people came and presented in poll results with 58% showing that Nigerians wanted him to be president. I told him, Your Excellency, this is a non-starter. He said, how? Delegate elections is not a popular election. So you carry out a poll among people in the street, heaven knows who they are, and you come to say, which Nigerians? So you get the point that even where you have anthropological evidence of this sort, secured through polls and research and questionnaires, it doesn't guarantee anything. Why I take this trajectory is for us not to. There's what you call reported speech. In interpretative writing, when I make a statement and you say, Okey Ikechukwu said, you're conveying what I said. If I now say Okey Ikechukwu said and I agree, I'm endorsing, I'm taking ownership. So having contextualized it from the origin of the expression itself, that it was a narrated story, I've also presented counterfactual that the man actually has land donated to him. I will add that the former director of works at the Federal University of Technology in Owerri has land in Owerri that he bought. That's where he lives. He's a farmer today. If you go to Owerri, you have the Rotibi Street off Douglas Road. That street is named after a Yoruba man who back then bought practically the entire area. He was a great entrepreneur. Those Igbo people who own lands in those areas bought it from him. Then, of course, you recall that Umoru Atine Alaji was a mayor of Enugu sometime in the 60s, or was it 50s now? He was also in charge of land allocation. Igbos didn't meet and sell him, don't sell to outsiders. If you go to Enugu today, the one area, Garki area, people from all over the country have land there. So there's, I think even for me personally, when I watched the controversy, I said, thank you, Ruben, because this has thrown up a matter on which there should be national discourse. More people will gain information, and will all be the better for it. That's the essential point. The second one is about land generally. Why would anybody, you say, but if you go to the East, you don't have too many people who are not Easterners who have land. And the question is, why is it that people have land elsewhere? Because there's business elsewhere. Tell me, what federal establishments do you have in Enugu, in all over the Southeast, that will make me leave my place in Yoruba land to come and buy land? Is it to be a villager? So we must also see the connection between national infrastructure, national institutions, national political headquarters, etc., The limited absence of that in the southeast makes the land there totally unattractive for anybody to procure. Why are Igbos buying up lands in Lagos? Because they need it. And I speak from some involvement in what's going on at that area of business. Little Road used to be made up of a couple of tiny bungalows. The same with Enowa Street. Go to Enowa today, there's no building there that's less than 2-story buildings. Check the history, you'll find out that it was the traders who went to negotiate with most of the people. Allow me build a 2-story building here. I will use it for warehousing. You live in part of it. After 10 years, it becomes yours and I begin to rent. And I speak because I know those who did that, some of them who were direct relations. That's how most of those places got built up. You may also recall that Ndubisi Kanu, an Igbo man at a point he was governor, actually met with the people, called them to a meeting and said, stop selling land. Do leases. Make this arrangement. That's when this alternative thing came up. Now, an Igbo man will not go to Newe and build a 2-story building to store his things because there's no port near him. He'll be throwing his money away. So all of that, you can take it into account. Why would I leave Kano to come and buy land in Imo State or in Anambra State? Am I on drugs? There is nothing going on in those places. So the political economy of the Nigerian state is also partly responsible for the things we are blaming on other things. Now, putting all of that aside even, let's pretend all of this doesn't exist. National infrastructure. The rail system of any nation is at the arteries of that country. Do you have rail in Nigeria? Yes. Do you have it in the southeast? No. Did you used to have it in the southeast? Yes. How did some of us know places like Saminaka, Kajuru, Lafia, etc.? It was because we traveled by road. You don't have that anymore. And so, putting that aside as well, let's come to the issue of land. You say, oh, you know, land holding system. No, I'm not going to talk about land holding system, but I'm going to talk about personal experience. The southeast is land choked. The land is not available. You go to most places in the southeast, you find that people bury in their compounds. My parents are no more. One of my sisters is no more. They are buried in the old family compound. My cousin Ide has a section of his land he uses for that. So there are other things to be understood. First, the land is not available. Where is it available and you want to buy it, you buy. Go to Onitsha. Onitsha Business School is owned by Shogbeson. Professor Shogbeson is a Yoruba man. He started it in 2010. So it's not like saying, oh, it's only in the 60s, you know. These days, they are not doing it. Today, it is thriving as one of the best business schools, working with the people. Last week, I went there to give the keynote address on innovative entrepreneurship for under 45s. Most of those who came were the people in the environment. You wouldn't know he doesn't belong there. So, in essence, taking it, in that trajectory, what has emerged is a perception that was fueled or is being fueled by people who talk about it. Ruben diligently acknowledged the virtues of the Igbos he knew. Put a however based on a story by Chief Benson. Looking back at it, I don't know whether Chief Benson meant it in jest, but the fact that he has land actually donated to him by Mbiri people, who are now right now, in fact, I understand, very, very angry about all of this, that they are being misrepresented, where he went out of his way to build them a post office on that land, etc. And also the cultural practice
But Prof,
that your in-law wants land near you.
Prof,